Hello everybody, welcome back to a brand new video. So 1 year ago, the 2020 election, I had the worst prediction on YouTube. Go back and look at it, it's awful. And so this one's not, I don't expect to be anywhere close to being right this time around. It's more so of an experiment. I've got two different methods. I've narrowed it down to two methods of predicting elections. And I'm going to give these ones first. I'm not going to give you the second one, but I'm going to give you these ones. Then I'm going to see which one was more closer to being correct, and then that's how we'll go with predicting elections going forward. So let's just hope this year is a lot better than it was last year. So the governor race, the two governor races, as well as the mayoral race, things, excuse me, have gotten pretty interesting. All three of these races are closer than it should, literally. So let's just talk about it one by one. Sorry for that cut there, I had to sneeze. So first let's talk about the, that shouldn't have happened. First let's talk about the, let's talk about the New York City mayoral race, since that's going to be the most lopsided victory. So typically a Democrat should win by around 30 points or more in this state. However, Eric Adams is currently underperforming the one poll that is out that had him winning 61% of the vote to Curtis Silva's 20-something% of the vote. I think it was 25%. That's actually an underperformance of what the polling had in 2017, where Bill de Blasio was in the mid-60s, and Nicole Malliotakis was in the mid-teens. I don't think she ever broke 20%. So that, and of course, Malliotakis ended up winning 33% of the vote, which is a massive overperformance. So thinking about that could say Curtis Silva is making this race more competitive because he's a liberal Republican, a rhino. What the actual definition of it is, in my opinion. Anyway, what I believe a rhino is, which is a liberal Republican, and a dino is a conservative Democrat, but we'll talk about that later. Maybe a future video, who knows. And Eric Adams has been hit with multiple has been framed by the Silva campaign as being an elite, someone who actually doesn't live in New York City, he lives in New Jersey, which I don't think he should be able to run, but it is what it is. And the debates have been split. A lot of people think Adams won it, however, a lot of people think Curtis Silva won it. And both candidates are starting to get a lot of crossover appeal, and the cats are going crazy. That's great. So there's a lot of Republicans in New York City voting for Eric Adams, and there's a lot of Democrats in New York City voting for Curtis Silva. So maybe that evens out back to what the normal is. We don't know. We have one freaking poll and two debates where it was split on who won. That's how the debates were treated. And we may get some sort of sympathy vote for Silva, considering he just got hit with a taxi, though I doubt it. Right, but however, I personally hope Silva wins, but I doubt it. I think Eric Adams wins by around 28 percentage points. I have margins and everything on a Google slide that I'll show you, so don't worry, you'll get to see it. So I think this is a safety seat. I think Eric Adams will be elected, and I hope he ends the vaccine mandate, or at least puts in a medical and religious exemption to it. I'd be fine with the vaccine mandate as long as that was in there. I'll be fine with that. But, you know, if he doesn't, then he'll be really unpopular. Next up is the state of New Jersey. This is a race where Phil Murphy should win by double digits. He is, in my opinion, benefited the most out of every single New England Democrat governor. He has benefited the most from it, as his approval soared more so than any other New Eastern Democrat governor. So he should win this election by double digits, right? Wrong. He's actually underperforming the polls. He's currently leading, and if you average the last five polls, he has an average of plus 8% in the average. Out of those last five polls, he has an 8% average, which that's odd. You should be. Jack Ciattarelli is a weaker candidate than Kim Quandango was, and Quandango was associated with the Christie administration as well as the Bridgegate scandal. And you're doing worse against someone who is tying himself to both Chris Christie and Donald Trump, who both are very unpopular in the state, so less people will want to turn out for him. I don't like Ciattarelli. He's just a swamp creature, in my opinion. Just an establishment crook. That's why I think Greg Mell, the Libertarian, is actually going to do very well in this election. is actually going to win. I think he's going to win up to 5% of the vote, 3 to 5%, which is actually an outperformance of most libertarians in New Jersey. I think he'll do very well for a libertarian. Which will explain. I do think Murphy will end up winning. I think he'll win by a lean margin, which could be controversial. I don't know. And of course, a scandal did come out. I guess you can call it a scandal, where he was going to implement a vaccine mandate as soon as he was reelected, or at least sometime afterwards. And I think he even campaigned on not doing a vaccine mandate too when this came out, and his support seemingly tanked a little bit. Not too much. Not how another Democrat's support tanked after some scandals dropped up. We'll get to that in a second. But Murphy is bombing this. Like, if he loses, then there's seriously a problem here, because Jack Ciattarelli is a very weak candidate. If Ciattarelli does win here, he'll probably get mollywopped in 4 years in 2025 if Democrats put up someone like Donald Payne Jr. or the current mayor of New York, that I don't have the name of right now, but I do know he's a very good candidate, very more aligned with someone like Cory Booker than Phil Murphy. So there you go. This race shouldn't be competitive, but it's going to be a lean margin. Now we go on to the Virginia gubernatorial election. When Glenn Youngkin got nominated, do you remember what I said? I said, do not be surprised if this race ended up being D plus 10 or R plus 2. Something along those lines. I said, don't be surprised that if it ended up becoming a Republican win or a Democrat win. And look what's freaking happening. Okay? Just look. Because one of two things were going to happen. Either Youngkin was going to pull it off, which nobody at the time thought when Youngkin first got the nomination, or that McAuliffe was going to win by double digits, which is what many people wanted, concerning Ralph Northam was pretty popular in the state of Virginia. However, Terry McAuliffe has run a bad campaign, literally making every single issue about Donald Trump, which many of his supporters are going to a third-party candidate under the Liberty Party named Princess Blanding, who just by hearing one thing, I don't think I'm too big of a fan, considering she got left out of the debate without even polling anywhere close to 5%, which is just, or closing anywhere near to 5% on an average, and then she claimed that it was racist that she was not being added, and then claimed that Terry McAuliffe was going to lose. I want to see what her internal polls look like. I want to know, and I want to know now. Because I want to know if she knows something we don't, because that would be interesting. But McAuliffe was making every issue about Donald Trump. Glenn Youngkin has been very honest during his campaign. I've never seen the media treat a Republican as nicely as Glenn Youngkin. I haven't seen so many fact checkers fact check the shit out of a Democrat as they have in this race. Like, the fact checkers, they are fact checking. They're doing Terry McAuliffe like they did Donald Trump. Just lie, 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 lie. You don't hear anything about Glenn Youngkin. So there's that. However, I do know that there is one thing that could cause some trouble for those moderates, is that he wants to pass a Texas-style abortion law after campaigning as a moderate on the issue, which, I don't think will hurt that much. Virginia is still a southern state culturally, even though it's starting to become less and less that, and more so of the cultures of something like New York or something like that. Starting to, because of the whole D.C. suburbs and all that in Loudoun County, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. And some other scandals that came out about this guy has so many scandals coming right now, it's crazy. I wouldn't be surprised if another scandal popped out. It's weird. He's got a campaign finance scandal that came out where he's taking donations from foreign countries and foreign companies. Yeah, most establishment politicians do that. Bernie, I think you need to get on that, banning that when we overturn Citizens United. Yes, I do support overturning Citizens United, as well as Texas v. Johnson, the only two cases that I want to overturn. Roe v. Wade is another one, but less so, because if we overturn Roe v. Wade, then states like California could just make crowning abortion illegal, which is bad. But back to the topic of the video. Another scandal that came out, which really wasn't McAuliffe's fault. The McAuliffe campaign had nothing to do with it. It was a Lincoln Project. They sent a bunch of Democrats, registered Democrats who had donated to Biden and McAuliffe in the past, and probably other Democrats as well, and had them pose as white supremacists in front of a Youngkin bus. This backfired massively on McAuliffe, and Yeah, it just didn't make him look good, as well as the fact that other things have compounded where he's inflating COVID numbers, where he's saying like 1,200 people had been, 1,200 kids has been hospitalized from COVID when it was 35. The guy looks like an absolute train wreck. I think it's because of the whole, he's realizing this campaign is getting tough, and he's having to drink a lot, which, I don't have a problem with him drinking. You can drink, bud. It's all good. It's all good. Just don't, drink too excessively now. You might get sick. You don't want to get sick now. And I've seen pictures of him with the beer in hand. He looks like a good dude. He does. Maybe a little crook. I think he looks a lot better when he's, with the beer in hand than he is in a suit, but that's just me. I think I'd have a brewski with him if I was 21. But yeah, and since these scandals are coming out one after another, I've seen analogies to the 2016 presidential election where Hillary Clinton was leading and then scandal after scandal started coming out days before the election and then her support started tanking. There are a lot of analogies to this. And now Youngkin is actually leading in the polls by a 0.8%, and we do know that most states have a tendency to overestimate or underestimate the Republicans. I think Glenn Youngkin is going to pull this off by a lean margin. This is the state that I am the most about because, we've got so many, I don't want to be known as the guy who said, hey, Virginia's absolutely going to flip, but I don't want to be the guy that says, no, Terry McAuliffe is going to wash this race. I don't want to be called that, and this race is so close. It really is. And I also do want to warn everybody who lives in the state of Virginia, I'd stay indoors when the election is called or near when the election is being certified. Just stay indoors, don't go out, because there are going to be riots, of course, whether Youngkin wins or McAuliffe wins. There are people going to riot and claim the election was rigged. There's another, speaking of scandals, another scandal broke out where McAuliffe had already hired a election integrity lawyer, someone who has been in key positions trying to win over cases when election integrity was in place, when there were rigged elections. I don't think he's ever won any, unless he was the lawyer for the North Carolina's 9th race, which wasn't rigged because the Republicans still won that race. Anyway, so he's already hired a lawyer for when he loses the election, I guess. It's just sad. This is the new normal. And he's been talking about rigged elections the entire campaign, too, claiming that they stole the election from Stacey Abrams, how the 2000 and 2004 election was rigged. He's been talking about rigged elections nonstop, almost as bad as Donald Trump. But now I'm going to show you the margins. I'll be right back. Yeah, these are my margins that I think they'll get somewhere around here. Let's just say there's a margin of error of 3%. Just a nice number. I think 5% is a bit too much. If you want, let's say 2%. Fuck it, let's say 2%. I'm risque. Yes, you can see Adams plus 28, Murphy plus 4, Youngkin plus 1. I don't think either Youngkin nor McAuliffe will get over 50% of the vote. I think Princess Blanding will get around 2% of the vote, 1.5 to 2.5%. I've already said that Greg Mell will get around 5% of the vote in New Jersey. I think he'll do very well for a libertarian. No, I don't think any candidate will get over 50% in New Jersey either. And a lot of Republicans will start saying that Greg Mell spoiled the election for Jack Ciattarelli, as if you give Mell's votes to Ciattarelli, he would have won. I think that will end up happening. And as you can see, Silva will outperform Malliotakis by around 2%, as she won 33%, he'll win 35%. So, thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully, we do a lot better this time than we did last year. This is the Chaotic One saying peace, and don't forget to go follow my Twitter at ChaoticPolitics.